Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Beamy. Reading creepy pastas 'cause cringe. 10 or 11 at night, pitch black. Getting a paranoid vibe. Damn, this is good pasta.png. Hear a thud on the roof near my window. On the second floor. Both mine and my sister's room have a window that leads onto the roof. Probably my sister. Annoyed.exe. Continue reading the pasta. A burning sensation that I'm being watched. Gets paranoid, so I shut my light off and get into bed with my laptop. Still reading pastas, but the feeling persists. Hear thudding across the roof getting closer to my window. Thuds outside the window. I come eye to eye with some dude staring in my window. Throws laptop across the room. Usain Bolt out of the room, screaming for my mother and yelling for my sister to leave her room. They come out to the living room confused. Hear a last thud from the roof as the dude jumps from the ledge and disappears into the dark. Find out it was the neighbor's kid, my age, staring into mine and my sister's room. Not the only creepy shit he did. Another time. Mom walked out at 4 a.m. to let the dogs out because they were freaking out, and he was standing in our driveway, just standing there staring at our house. Starts trying to play with the dogs. Always lock your windows. Final warning. There are some freaky people out there.
On the way home from work, I spotted one of my college buddies that I was in several law enforcement classes with. I honked at him and he flashed his lights back, as he currently is a cop. Unfortunately, I am not, currently work factory stuff, and I stopped at the next town's Denny's to have some breakfast or dinner. It's 1:30 in the morning at the time. I listened to dispatch through the scanner to keep up with what's going on in the area and to keep fresh on the codes and signals they use here in Indiana. A call came out for a possible kidnapping in the town I was currently in. No description was given out, just a location and time. I saw my buddy running lights past the Denny's, and he called in to Central Dispatch to let them know he was on scene. The town with the Denny's is super small, and the town with my buddy helps the Denny's town with calls. I'm sorry for the long post, but I needed to get this off my chest and could only do so anonymously here. About 20 minutes later, he goes 10-8 with a "be on the lookout" for a 14-year-old white girl, possibly a runaway, and has been gone for an hour. He then goes across the street and takes a dump at the Marathon. I pay for my meal, and as I'm walking out to my car, he waves at me and I wave back. Even though I am a regular citizen, I try my best to be a vigilante one. Maybe even a little paranoid, because I change routes to and from work and constantly check if I am being followed, as well as I drive through my neighborhood before leaving and returning home during workdays. On the way home from Denny's, I see a pair of taillights leaving the town traveling in a northern direction at a faster speed than the speed limit. This is the only vehicle I see the entire time, 30 minutes. I'm starting to gain on it very slowly, as I usually travel 63 or 64-ish miles per hour in the 55 miles per hour zone. I'm gaining on it so slowly that I finally get into vehicle recognition distance as I'm entering my hometown. Now, I should add, I also drive a Ford Taurus, the 3.5 SHO, so it looks like a cop car to the uneducated eye. I believe the driver spots my headlights and starts slowing down quickly. Nothing unusual about that, but I notice the plate and type of vehicle. It's a 2007-ish Ford Transit cargo van, and it's too damn clean. The windows are painted white to match the color, and the driver's cabin is tinted super dark. This guy goes the speed limit, almost halfway through town. I'm starting to get suspicious because the plate is way out of its home county. The numbers are in the low teens, meaning way up north in the state, and we are way down south. There are no identifying markings that would usually be on a commercial cargo van, and it is a truck plate too, meaning most likely privately owned. This guy, almost halfway to the center of town, suddenly pulls over and stops. He had absolutely no reason either. Wasn't operating a GPS or texting. Just staring at me with his cold eyes as I pass him, going about 20 miles per hour. He is a white male, maybe late 40s or early 50s. White stained t-shirt, gray grown-out messy hair, clean-shaven. All I saw was him. Nothing else. He stares. Doesn't put the van in park and get out. Doesn't move. At this moment, I'm getting a gut feeling I need to call him in. But for what? Staring at me? So I slowly continue on and start to crest the hill in the center of town. I'm watching him in my rearview mirror, and as soon as my taillights disappear, he starts to take off. Okay, this is some bullshit. If I was an officer, that right there is a reasonable suspicion to continue following. So I turn on a side road and make a sneaking U-turn. I stop at the center of town and see his taillights now heading east. I follow and start gaining on him. He sees my headlights once again, and at the car wash sits local PD, another friend. Not close, but we chat every once in a while. He slows down again. I get closer to get a plate number, but he turns off quickly to a closed business and goes behind it. Oh shit, that's not good. So I find the nearest intersection and turn right. If this guy was armed, he went behind the business for an ambush. We were always told in the academy that you always call for backup if they go behind a closed business. So I pull into the fire station and wait. Unfortunately, I don't have a line of sight. But if he continues going east, I will. I wait for about 2 minutes, then pull back out to the intersection. He is gone. So I start turning back into town. Nothing. Not his lights, not even any other cars. Even my buddy is gone. Fuck. I lost him. The feeling I get is terrible. The gut feeling about him started as soon as I saw his taillights leaving the town's Denny's. It's fucked up. I comb the neighborhood and check to see if I'm being followed, then park my car at my house and head inside. Now here I am, laying in bed on my phone with this sickening feeling that this guy is pure evil. I wasn't able to get a plate number. But I texted my brother, who is a cop in a town off the highway we were traveling on about an hour up north. Gave him the vehicle description and the guy's description. Little brother called me paranoid. I'm sorry for the long post, but I needed to get this off my chest and could only do so anonymously here. I pray I am wrong and just being paranoid. But if I am right, there is a 14-year-old girl in that van and needs help.
I got one. Work for a construction company for a summer. Get the easy job. I get to sit inside a hospital while the crew replaces the roofing. My job is to patrol the area inside to make sure shit isn't falling down. Super easy. Nothing ever happens. The area I sit in is a therapy ward. Lots of weirdos with mental issues. I was given a key card to use to get in and out the doors because these people are not supposed to leave the facility. Weeks go by. Learn some names, but I'm antisocial, so I don't try hard at all to get to know people. Boss calls. It's time for lunch. On my way out, 2 doors to go through with the key card. Pass by a group of old or retarded mental patients. Heavy doors, one going to a staircase, so it is extra loud when opening and closing. I get through one door with a delay closing. Didn't care enough to look behind me. Lots of doctors are using these doors too. Go through door 2 to the staircase. Barely open the heavy-ass door, just enough for me to slip through. Left no room for anyone to catch it behind me. But the door didn't close. Already on the second step of the stairs. No joke, I hear. Jamessss. My fucking name. Turn around to see the scariest, witch-looking old bag I've ever seen in my life. She's grinning right at me, walking at me like a nightmare scene. I trip over my feet like the dumbass in every horror movie does. I yell at her just saying "what?" because that is all I could come up with. This was genuine terror. Just in time, like a goddamn movie, 2 doctors or wranglers key through the door and grab her before she got to me. They apologize and smile like this was normal as can be, like it happens all the time. Go tell my boss what happened. Blows it off like it was nothing weird at all. I still don't know how she knew my name, or why she came after me, or how she escaped. For an old lady, she moved very fast and was virtually silent. Scariest thing that happened to me.
I was deployed to Afghanistan twice when I was in the military. Once in 2010 and once in 2013 in very isolated areas. I don't really know how to convey it. Nothing scary happened, so to speak. There's just something about that place. Russia was there decades ago. The US has been there for a little over a decade, but with a much smaller non-offensive or strong combat force now. Yes, there is a drug trade and people want to control the heroin supply, but that is completely irrelevant. I really don't know how to describe it. There is something just wrong about Afghanistan. I've been to Iraq and Central Africa before. Those places are super fucked up, but nothing that genuinely seemed unusual. When you walk into a huge empty room, it's whatever, right? But when you walk into a huge empty room with tons of that is dead silent, it gives you a weird feeling. I don't know how to explain it any better, but that was the feeling myself and other guys in my unit felt each day and each night. I'm sorry, I can't describe it better. It doesn't matter what we did or experienced. I just know that there is not a single soul on this planet that could force me to go back there. I'm 30 years old, and I don't fear anything. Not in a sense of heroic courage, but I can control my emotions better than 99.99% of people on this planet. It's one of those things that is a gift and a curse. I don't get scared and I don't fear death. It's whatever. If I was to be homeless tomorrow, I wouldn't care, and I would deal with it. But Afghanistan is the only place that absolutely terrified me. There is something going on there that myself and others will never know. And it drives me crazy every single day, because I'll never know.
When I was 19, I entered the Army, Singapore, to serve a compulsory 2 years. Went through basic training. Everything was fine. Found out I was selected to be a signaler after that. So I went to signal school for 2 months, which is in another Army camp across the country. The building we trainees stayed in was a few decades old, but not too bad. It looked clean enough. There were all the bare facilities you'd expect. Dorms for sleeping in, toilets for showering and stuff, and a small corner on the ground floor for people to smoke. The first few weeks were uneventful. We slept in single beds, 6 in a row, facing each other. But from the 3rd week on, things began to happen. Small things, but it was hard to ignore them. I slept in a bed which was in the middle of the bunk, and I faced the open windows. Our bunk was on the 4th floor, and there was a tree outside, so it never got too bright. So, for some nights, I would lie down to go to sleep, but just before drifting off, my bed would shudder. It was a jolt, just enough to wake me up, But there was nothing when I woke up fully. Or there would be a random noise, a fractured sound to wake me up. Imagine someone saying something unintelligible to you out of the blue. I just brushed it off as me being too tired. But as it continued to happen every other day, it was hard to ignore. It also meant I slept poorly. I would later find out I wasn't the only one. But everyone had their own experiences. People just didn't want to share such things at first. I'll list some of the more major happenings in following posts. Pick is what an army bunk looks like. The layout is slightly different, but you get the idea. Happening number 1. I woke up in the dark. I looked at my watch. It was 1 a.m. I was about to go back to sleep, but I heard 2 people talking. Thinking it were my fellow bunkmates, I sat up to have a better look. There was some faint moonlight coming in from outside, so I could make out shapes. The more I tried to make sense of it, the more I realized it wasn't natural. Everyone that I saw were clearly asleep in their beds. The muttering of 2 voices went on. The more I tried to listen to what they were saying, the more I could not understand them. They were not speaking in English or Chinese or any other language that I knew. It was a bunch of rapid gibbering noises. But there were clearly 2 voices. Terrified, I slipped back down into my bed. Happening number 2. This was another night. I woke up again, but this time it was about 11:30 p.m. The room was quiet, everyone was sleeping. Suddenly I heard the sound of shuffling, the sound of flip-flops on bare concrete floor. It clearly originated in the room, but nobody was walking. The sound traveled from one end of the room to the other. It was exactly as if someone was pacing the room, but I couldn't see him. When it reached the end of the room, there would be a short pause. Then it would start coming back again, in the other direction. Determined to know it wasn't just me, I rolled down to the side and reached across to tug my friend who was sleeping on his bed. He was annoyed and surprised to be woken up naturally, but I whispered to him, "Do you hear that?" He didn't understand what I was asking at first, but by the very faint light I saw his eyes widen in the dark. He could hear it too. "Who is that?" "I don't know. There's nobody." After a while, he shook his head and put his finger to his lips, beckoning me to be quiet. He turned around and wrapped his blanket over him. It was clear he didn't want to think too much about it. All this while, the bed shaking and other small miscellaneous occurrences continued every other day. The timing of them increased gradually over the weeks, slowly ratcheting up in intensity. One time there was a loud sound that took everyone by surprise. We were chatting and laughing normally, and suddenly it came and shut everyone up. It was the sound of the metal window panes slamming shut, but nothing moved. The windows were fine. Another time, the door to our dorm rattled loudly, as though someone was trying to open it from the other side. Thinking it was our sergeants playing a prank on us, we opened the door. But looking down into the long corridor, we were only greeted by a tunnel of inky darkness. Lights were off after 22:30. 10:30 p.m. There would also be loud stomping sounds coming from above, even though the floor above us was uninhabited, locked off, and empty at that time. There started to be gossip, of course. Bringing up the issue to our superiors were either met with denial or deflection, but it was clear from their eyes we weren't the first batch of trainees to experience this, and I wasn't the only one affected in my bunk. A few guys had it worse. People started moving out to sleep in spare beds in other rooms, or even with other trainee batches, even though it wasn't allowed. I continued to stay, thinking I could just live with it, if only for a few weeks more until I graduate. Happening number 3, major. I woke up again. I wanted to reach out to check the time, but I couldn't move. I was sleeping on my side, and there was an empty space on my bed. I realized I had sleep paralysis, so I didn't panic just yet. I couldn't move, but I could see the room just fine. I could see everyone sleeping, which windows were open, the leaves of the tree moving. I told myself I would just breathe normally, and maybe I could wake up naturally. Then, from the corner of my eye, I saw something that shouldn't be there. Something moved in the far corner. I tried squinting at it. Something tall, very skinny, and black. It looked exactly like a stick figure a kid would draw. It would be almost comical if it weren't so terrifying. And if you don't believe me, I would understand. It moved across the room, striding slowly in a broken and stiff way, like a bad animation that was missing some key frames. It walked and limped across the room as my terror built up, and I tried to comprehend what exactly I was looking at. I wanted to say something, to do something, but I couldn't. Reaching my bed, it turned around to look at me. The face was round and featureless, save 2 dots for eyes and a long, wide mouth that pulled up into a smile. It sat down on the empty space on my bed and reached out with one of its arms. It had many fingers. I couldn't count them. Dried, wrinkly fingers. It reached out and touched the soles of my bare feet. I could feel each finger, the dryness scraping against my soles, like worms digging for earth. With a massive effort, I broke out and screamed even more. People sat up and someone ran to turn on the lights. There was nothing there. I was sweating and swearing I saw shit. I could still feel the physical sensation of it, like an echo that contorts onto itself. I moved out to another bunk the next day. I'd had enough. My mental health was suffering. Out of the 12 original occupants, I was the 5th guy to do so. There was only 3 weeks left in our training, but I didn't want to sleep there anymore. This incident legit turned me from a half-skeptic into, this shit is too much for me, man. I'm out of here. It can't be rationalized. I just don't want to be around anything like that ever again. It's very mentally taxing to have physical training in the day and can't even get a good night's rest later on. I started to doubt my judgment of reality. It's totally not fun at all when you really encounter such things IRL.
Be me, 2009. Driving home at night, see a bright red light in the sky. Looked close. Decided to check it out. Pull onto a back road off the main road and catch the red light fading in and out. Looked just like the light on a phone tower. Pull into a random parking lot with no lights and get out of my car. Look up and there be Big Red. Big Red is floating in a straight line about 100 feet up, fading in and out, but always pops up in the same place like a video on loop. Big Red turns solid red, stops blinking, starts to move closer to me in a solid color. Be me shitting pants. Run back to my car and peel out of the parking lot. Back on the main road, pull into a Walgreens where a cop was. Telling the confused officer about the light. He thinks I'm crazy. The light pops up from the tree line. Cop says, "Holy shit." Big Red disappears. Cop doesn't call it in and I go home like it never happened. Brought the Wendy's burgers inside and eat with my roommate, thinking I probably shouldn't sleep tonight just in case Big Red comes to visit.
Be 20. Newly moved to the countryside with my mom and sister. The whole town struck me as weird. Several stories of heroes. A depressed woman and her drunk husband live just across the street. Can see their balcony from my bedroom window. Can hear them argue from my room every single night. One day, Mom goes to visit her sister in the city and takes my sister with her. Be home alone, watching TV in my room. Weird. I can't hear the neighbors arguing. Don't think much of it. Need the bathroom. Cross the corridor to go to the bathroom. See something behind me out of the corner of my eye. Whatever it is, it's crawling on my wall, coming towards me really fast. Get in the bathroom without looking back and close the door. Hear a loud noise outside the house. Start praying, although not religious. Stay silent for a few minutes, trying to figure out what to do. Finally, get the courage to look in the corridor. There's nothing in there. Take a leak, go to bed, and try to forget what just happened. Finally, sleep. Wake up the next morning. Open my bedroom window. See the neighbor woman hanged on the balcony. The balcony beam is broken in half because of her weight. Tell Mom and sister I don't want to live in this town anymore. Still living here 10 years later.
Beamy as a child must be 13 or so. My parents are still together. Mom wakes me up in the middle of the night by calling to me from inside her own room. Yell back at her super annoyed, "What?" She tells me there's someone who just came in the front door of the house. Yell back, "It's Dad," she yells back. "Dad is in bed with me." Very mild panic. I just think she's full of crap for some reason, even though I have no reason to doubt her. Hear weird shuffling noises of someone standing in the living room. Dad. No answer. More shuffling noises. Dad. Very quiet. WTF. From my parents' bedroom. Dad. There's someone in the house. Think, WTF, why couldn't my mom wake him up? WTF, they're in the same room. More WTFs from my dad waking up reluctantly. He finally agrees to come out and check. I come out roughly the same time. There is a commotion of door noise and footsteps in the dark. See Dad cross the empty living room going to the front door. WTF, he said again. There's no one, he says, opening the front door. Sudden commotion at the door. See Dad pull his arm back like he's about to punch someone. Whoa, what the fuck? My dad says. Mumbled speech. What? More mumbled speech. Dad leaves the front door and there's a confusion of footsteps outside. Run to my mom's room. The police show up immediately. After a long time, my dad comes back inside. Tells me it was just some drunk guy who got lost trying to find his way home. Walked into our house by mistake. He says he's glad he didn't own a gun because he would have probably just killed someone for being a drunk idiot. Never hear about what happened ever again. None of that memory makes sense to me even now. As a home invasion, it was scary, but all the weird details keep bothering me. Like, why couldn't my mom wake my dad up when they were in bed together? And how come the police arrived immediately, even though no one called? This was back before cell phones, and I was with my mom the whole time.
More WTF than scary, but be me right now, around 2:45 a.m., sitting in bed, working on my laptop. It's hot, so windows are wide open. Suddenly, see a very bright flash reflected on them. Think I'm just tired and seeing things. Second flash, peek out of the window. See 2 huge flashes on the horizon, and then a definite lightning bolt. Alright, case closed. A bit weird considering it's summer, plus there are very few clouds in the sky, but I'll buy it. Wait for the thunder. There's literally no sound. Well, okay. Seconds later, I hear heavy rustling and snarling from my neighbor's yard. I'm thinking maybe a genet or a cat, but they would be too small to be making such a racket. It's not wind either. It's coming from a single tree. Point my phone flashlight at it. Rustling suddenly stops. As I'm doing this, I notice a flashlight circling around inside an abandoned factory close to my house. Moments later, a fox comes sprinting down the dirt road in front of my house. Then a hedgehog slides under my front gate into my yard. This all happened in the span of 5 to 10 minutes. Now there's thick fog coming from the sea, and I'm getting genuinely unsettled. I'd go outside to see what is going on, but I don't want to be abducted by spooky aliens.
Nurse here. I have a couple spooks for you. Not green texting because I'm on mobile. I was 18 and working at the local old folks home. I worked on the dementia and behavioral floor because loons are much more fun to care for than lucid people. It's a rush breaking up grandma fights. The place stinks, has poor lighting, and overall is sketchy, but I've worked here a long time by this point, so it doesn't bother me anymore. The floor is only accessed by elevator and stairwell, both having a security code. A new lady moves into one of the private rooms on the floor, She moved down from the normal floor. She keeps to herself, keeps her door shut, is friendly and polite, and laughs at silly things, like a normal little old lady would. So I have no idea why she is down on my floor, but she is easy to care for. So, oh well. One afternoon, I take her lunch tray to her room and knock on the door. "Hey, Mrs. Whatever, I have your lunch here." "Oh, that's so sweet. But I'm not hungry. I'm very sorry." "That's okay. Can I leave it on your table in case you get hungry?" "I tell you what, young man, wait right here. I'll ask the girl I'm staying with if she would like some." Remember, private room. "Excuse me? What.jpg?" Little old lady proceeds to her mirror to ask the 16-year-old girl she apparently shares the room with, aka her reflection, if she would like anything to eat. I watch as the lady has a conversation with herself in the mirror. She then comes back to me and says, she said she wasn't hungry either. "You can eat it if you like then." Okay, thanks, ma'am. I leave and tell the nurse. She decides that we should keep Mrs. Whatever's door open from then on. We found out that she spends hours a day standing in front of her mirror talking with this young girl. We taped paper over the mirror to try and stop her, but it only lasted so long before she tore it off and kept the behavior up. The strangest thing about the behavior is that sometime later, due to whatever reason in the administration, they moved the lady back up to the normal floor. Her room was identical to the one in the dementia ward, down to the placement of the bed and the mirror, but the behavior stopped completely. No other interventions were necessary. Eventually she came back, again, months later, and due to something above my pay grade, and the behaviors resumed. It makes me think that it had more to do with the room than the lady. I don't know. Always spooked me, though.
Not a whole lot of scary shit has happened to me in my life. So here's the scariest. Live in a small border town in northeastern Nevada. About 14 or 15 years old. Poor family. So we live in a mobile home park in a mobile home with thin, shitty glass windows and a tattered window curtain I've had for like 8 years. Mom and Dad finally decide it's too screwed up and it's time to get rid of it. They'll get me a new one next time they go to Salt Lake City, the nearest big city. No curtain or anything to prevent people from peering in or out. Have a smallish dog, a bit of a yapper. Very territorial. Barks at people who get too close. Piece of shit kids start teasing him, and we catch some kids throwing a pipe wrench at him. So he comes inside and sleeps with me at night. Sleeping one night. Hear a slight scratching at the window. Dog starts going apeshit at my window, like full-blown growling, barking, the whole nine. The foot of my bed is literally right against the window, so the dog is on the bed at my feet, frantically moving from side to side while going nuts. Too terrified at what I would see if I looked. So I just sat there pretending I wasn't awake with my eyes closed, even though it's obvious there's no way anyone could sleep through that shit. After about 3 or 4 minutes, the dog starts to calm down, going from growling to stopping. It eventually plops down right on my feet, eventually fall back asleep. Not much of a story or payoff, I know. I thought it could have just been one of my friends, but no one mentioned it. Not a lot of crime in that town. But I think maybe someone was thinking about breaking in. I'll never know. And I've never really wanted to.
I don't know if anyone else would find this scary, but it really disturbed me, and I can't understand why it occurred. When I was 12 to 14, my mum would leave to go on some 3-week trips to pursue a distant master's degree. The first time was during a particularly hot summer, and my brothers were supposed to be present so that I wouldn't be left alone. But they stayed overnights at their friends' houses that had air conditioning anyway, Alone. I'm sleeping with no sheets on, with the large, tall window in my room open for whatever breeze I could get. Past midnight, the doorbell rings and I put on a bathrobe to answer it. 2 kids of different ages in collared white dress shirts are there. Apologize in unison like it's very rehearsed. Then politely ask me if they can use my backyard. I can see across the street in this suburb that another pair of them are asking my neighbors. I very awkwardly tell them, sorry, but no. I go back to my room and resume trying to sleep in the heat, facing my window. This window has a low bottom, so I can see straight out into the backyard while laying down. But it's pitch black. I think I see movement, but it's very hard to tell. And after trying to focus for a while, there doesn't appear to be any movement after all. But I don't sleep. It's too hot. Hours pass, and very slowly light begins to dawn. Faintly at first, I see the shapes of a couple white shirts in my backyard. Then more and more, about 12 of different heights. About half are adult or teen size. But they can't be people because they're standing perfectly still and silently for hours. It gets brighter, and I confirm they are in fact people, and they are facing my house. They're still standing there, not moving or making a sound. Get the feeling they're watching me, and I'm completely uncovered, but I'm scared enough that I freeze and don't move, pretending not to see them and close my eyes. I wake up later in the day and they're gone. Outside there are footprints in the grass and very tamped down areas indicating more movement than I saw. They were really there, and there were a lot of them, just creepily watching or staring or praying or something. Bizarre.
Parents divorced. Live with my father but go to my mom's to house sit. Big screen TV better than at home. Alone in the house, up late watching some scary movie, not that good. Nodding off. Open my eyes. The screen is dark. I guess I turned off the TV and fell asleep. Hear my name whispered inside the room behind the TV. Hair bristles on the back of my neck. Now awake, did I just imagine that? Hear it again. Oh shit. Oh shit. TV lights up with a big jump scare as a girl screams and runs out of a dark basement. I scream and nearly piss myself. First time experiencing Dolby Stereo surround sound. Thanks, Mom. House sitting again. Second day there. Up late watching TV in the basement rec room, alone in the house. Hear a loud human fart from the other room. Stop breathing, no other sound. Find a heavy glass ashtray to arm myself. Creep up to the doorway of the other room. Dark, I wait. See no movement. Creep around the doorway to check if the back door is locked. Step over the cat as I'm about to climb the stairs. Hear that spooky, creaking door hinge that's in horror movies. I freeze. I smell something awful. Look down. It's the cat. Farting. Got into the pizza I ordered the first night but never finished. Cats are lactose intolerant.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.